Hello and welcome back to the Sports Sermon. I'm Dylan Staggy.
I'm Jason Gotti.
I'm Dave Majors.
I'm John Majors.
And I'm Zach Munson.
And we are back today for the start of our football podcast. We've got a lot of football coming out soon as it has turned mid-July and it is football time officially. Today, we are going over the ACC Atlantic Division, as you can tell by the title. Tomorrow we have ACC Coastal, and the day after that we have Notre Dame. Make sure you stay tuned for those. But let's get right into the ACC Atlantic Football Division today. We're going to go through every team and talk about their players, basically the depth chart on both sides of the ball, what they lost, what they got coming back, where they'll finish in the conference, and then a record and a bowl prediction. So let's start off with last year, Clemson with Dan.
All right, well, Clemson went 14-1 last year, won the ACC, and then won the national championship. Had scares to Troy and NC State, but then, of course, won the ACC championship against Virginia Tech, blew out Ohio State in the college football playoff, and then beat Alabama in the game of the year. This year, they returned 12 total starters, 5 on offense, 7 on defense. Key losses on offense include Watson, Gallman, Williams, and Leggett. Defense, Ben Boulware, who led the team in tackles, and Carlos Watkins. So, John, what do you think about the Clemson Tigers this year?
I have Clemson going 10-2 overall and 7-1 in conference. I think they'll finish second in the Atlantic. I really like their team. They're very experienced on defense, have a good defensive line in Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, and Austin Bryant. They do have a question mark for me, and that's quarterback Kelly Bryant. I'm not real high on him. Sources in Clemson are saying that Hunter Johnson is going to make a push for the starting job later in the year. And also, I really like Deion Kane. He's going to be their lead guy at wide receiver.
All right, I also like the Clemson Tigers this year. I think they'll go 10-2. I think they'll finish second in the Atlantic Division, behind Florida State, which we'll get into later. But I think a key part of their team success will be the quarterback battle. I like Hunter Johnson. I think has the most talent out of all the 3 quarterbacks going for the spot. Obviously from hometown Indiana and Brownsburg. They're returning one of the nation's top defensive lines and a lot of offensive talents. They are losing their defensive line coach. That'll be interesting to see how they fare out.
Yeah, I think the line is going to be key for Clemson on both sides. They're returning a lot of guys on the offensive line and defensive line. The offensive line, they experienced 4 guys back, will definitely help Kelly Bryant in his development as a first-year starter. They got a lot of talent on the offensive side, though, even though they lost their big 3, obviously in Watson, Gallman, Mike Williams, and if you want to throw in Leggett. On the defensive side, still returning a lot of guys. A lot of talent in Christian Wilkins, 13 tackles for loss last year, and Kendall Joseph with a 124 tackle season. So Clemson, a lot of talent returning, but not as good as last year for me. I say 10-2, losing to Bama and Florida State, but that's it for Clemson. Finished second in the Atlantic.
Yeah, you guys kind of all said it, the same thing I was going to say. They lost big players in Watson, Gallman, Williams, and Leggett. Kelly Bryant's going to be the QB, and I have the same thing Dylan did, 10-2, second in the Atlantic, second in the ACC Conference in general. But yeah, there's not much else to say. You guys pretty much summed it up.
By the way, I said Bama. I was thinking Florida State for a second. For Clemson, I have them losing to Florida State and one of the 2, either Louisville or NC State. I think they dropped one of those 2.
That's what I have too.
All right, Dan.
Well, on the offensive side of the ball, passing game was great last year. Ranking 6th in passing yards a game with 334. Offensive line should be great this year. Of course, getting 4 starters back, like Dylan said. They ranked 8th in quarterback sack percentage. John said Deion Kane will be big this year. I agree. Defense was one of the nation's best last year, ranking 11th in points per game and 10th in yards per game. Returning 7 guys from last year, Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, Clellan Farrell, and Kendall Joseph will be big for them. So I have them at 10-2. Losing to Florida State and getting upset by NC State. Key wins include Auburn and South Carolina. I have them in the New Year's 6 Bowl. So, moving on to Florida State. They went 10-3 last year. 5-3 in the conference, finished third in the Atlantic Division. Had a big win against Ole Miss to start the year. Beat Miami, lost to Clemson, beat NC State, and then, of course, beat Michigan in the Orange Bowl Classic there. And returnees include 16 total, 7 on offense, 9 on defense. Offense, Dalvin Cook is gone, along with Travis Rudolph and Kermit Whitfield. Defense, DeMarcus Walker led the team in sacks with 16, and Marquez White is also gone. So, John, what do you think about the Florida State Seminoles this year?
I really like this team. I could see them going to college football playoff. I have them going 12-1 and 8-0 in the conference. Their only loss coming to Florida. We'll talk about later in the SEC. Florida is going to be a surprise team. But anyways, I really like DeAndre Francois. He's going to be a dark horse Heisman candidate. They're going to be Alabama to start the year. I really like their defense. Josh Sweat, Matthew Thomas, and then possibly the best corner/safety prospect since Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James. They're a really good and loaded team.
Yeah, I also really like Florida State. I see them going 11-1 with their loss coming at their opener to Alabama, as I think that they'll beat Clemson. They definitely have the talent to win it all this year. The secondary might be the best in all of college football. Great defensive line, and they're going to have to have a replacement for Dalvin Cook and some receivers, but I like DeAndre Francois bringing this game to another level next year as a sophomore, and I think they should be off to the college football playoff.
Yeah, DeAndre Francois is a legit Heisman candidate this year. Started as a redshirt freshman last year. Will continue to get better, and he'll be fantastic this year. The problem is replacing everyone else on the offensive side to get some weapons around him. I think they'll be better, obviously losing Dalvin Cook, but still a very solid offense with DeAndre Francois there. Josh Sweat and Brian Burns on the defensive side combined for 16.5 sacks last year. Obviously did lose DeMarcus Walker, but still a very solid defense, especially with Derwin James, like John mentioned. So I really like Florida State this year. I agree with Zach on the schedule. I think they drop the first game to Alabama, and then after that just run the table. And then I think they start the year the same way they end, or they end the year the same way they start the year, losing in the national championship to Alabama.
Well,
I could see that.
I picked Florida State last year to win it all. It didn't happen. Don't worry. They're going to be back this year, and I agree with all you guys, except for the fact I think they're going to go 12-0. I think they upset Bama in the first game. They run the table. They don't lose a game. They finish going 14-0. Or that'd be 15, including the ACC championship. 15-0.
Really?
Throughout. They're winning it all. I told you last year they're going to do it. I was wrong. DeAndre Francois is winning Heisman. Cam Akers is about to be the best running back in the nation. I'm telling you guys, watch out for Florida State. Defense, unbelievable. They're going undefeated this year.
Wow.
They got to stay healthy. I could possibly see that.
I'm telling you it's going to happen. Jimbo's one of the greatest coaches in college football right now. Great offense, great defense. No one's stopping him.
Yeah, a guy to really look out for Florida State is Cam Akers, freshman running
Oh,
back.
yeah. He's unbelievable.
Really good. They're saying he's better than Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
when he was a freshman.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Especially because even if it doesn't happen this year, next year, Francois stays and Akers gets another year, they're going to be good these next 2 years coming up. They are a good squad. I'm telling you, Francois is winning Heisman. I said it last year, way off, happening this year. Francois for Heisman.
All right. A lot of good stuff there from Jason.
Mm-hmm.
I also like Florida State this year. I have them 12-0 to in the regular season, winning the ACC, going to the college football playoff, but I do not have them winning the national championship. One thing to look out for that nobody really talked about was 96% red zone percentage. I thought that was big, ranked first last year. Yeah, I know, big stuff right there.
Wow, red zone percentage.
Defense will be huge, as the line should be huge. That's what I just said. But they rank second in the ACC in sack percentage. So, yeah, 12-0. Schedule plays out very well. Playing Alabama week 1, where I feel the most experienced team will win that, which is Florida State. Also, Miami, NC State, and Louisville are all at home. But if they win either against Clemson or Alabama, then they're in the college football playoff, in my opinion.
They're winning both. Watch out.
So, let's move on to Louisville.
Louisville, yeah.
Louisville. I said
Oh,
Louisville.
man,
Hey.
Dan.
Hope the Kentucky fans aren't too mad yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, last year went 9-4, went 7-1 in the conference, finished second in the Atlantic Division, had a loss to Clemson, and then they finished the year with 3 straight losses to Houston, Kentucky, and LSU in their bowl game. They returned 12 total starters, 5 on offense, 7 on defense. Key losses on offense include Brandon Radcliffe and top 3 receivers in James Quick, Cole Hicatini, and Jamari Staples. Key losses on defense are Keith Kelsey, leader in tackles, Josh Harvey Clemens, and Devontae Fields. So, John, what do you think about the Louisville Cardinals this year?
Well, the Louisville Cardinals will go 9-3, 5-3 in conference. I really like this team. Lamar Jackson, Heisman Trophy guy from last year. I think he could possibly win it again, but we'll see. Their offense looks a little inexperienced, but they will still score a lot of points. They were 3rd total best offense last year. I believe they can pick up where they left off, but defense really needs to figure it out. And yeah, they'll finish 3rd in the Atlantic Division.
I also have Louisville finishing 3rd. I like this team a lot, obviously, with Lamar Jackson back. Heisman from last year, I think he could definitely do it again. I think they'll have a bit of an attitude after losing 3 games in a row. I think they're going to want to prove themselves after finishing very bad at the end of the year. Defensive front will be great. Secondary is terrific. And obviously, as I said before, Lamar Jackson running the show. I think they'll go 9-3 or 10-2 this year. If I had to choose one, I'll go with 9-3. Just because I think they could lose to Florida State, Clemson, and possibly NC State.
You know what? I'm not as high on Louisville as you guys. I think it'll be kind of similar to last season. Lamar Jackson just kind of doing it all. He still doesn't have a lot of great help on the offensive side. The defense is solid, but not anything too special. And I see this year being the same as last year in that they just kind of fizzle out towards the end of the season. And I said they go 8-4. They have a really tough schedule. I don't see them winning against Clemson, even though that is a home game. At NC State and at Florida State, too. I see them losing both of those. And I think
Where's the 4th loss?
I think one of the last 3 games, Virginia,
Virginia's-
Syracuse, or Kentucky. I know they're all not great, but I mean
Not good.
upsets happen all the time.
They're just not great. They're just not good, though.
I know.
Those
but
teams
I,
are.
I'm
Like,
saying
I would
that-
give
They
you.
beat
I
Clemson
give
last
you.
year.
I give you.
Virginia's a bye in the ACC
No.
Atlantic.
I would give you Wake Forest before I give you Virginia or Syracuse.
I'm just
though.
saying I think they fizzle out towards the end of the season.
I can
and
see
lose
that. They
one of
did it
those
last
3
year.
games.
I think that's because once he knew he had the Heisman, he didn't care. That's in my opinion.
If there had
That's
to be a team, I'd say
Or they
at
knew they-
Kentucky. Because it's a rivalry.
because it's a rivalry game. That's I can see that.
And it's actually interesting because I heard that Lamar Jackson's going to try to be more of a pro-style quarterback this year to try to get ready for the NFL.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So I wonder how that could maybe affect how he plays.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing is that's interesting because if he doesn't try to be as electric with his feet, then that means you're going to have to have more playmakers on the outside. I mean, they lost their
Right.
top 3 weapons, including the tight end, Cool, Hicatini, however you say it. Yeah, and I mean, the offensive line's young, but they need to buy him time. So they give him time, that's going to be a top-notch offense. It's really all depend on that offensive line. If they give him time, he'll be fine. Defensively, 9 starters return. They were 14th in the nation. Dan kind of already said this all. But their front 7, what really they struggled with was quick quarterbacks. You saw them against Clemson and Florida State, especially with Francois, Watson, and guys that could really just get out of the pocket. Their front 7 really struggled to keep up, and that's where they got burned. So they'll have good practice, obviously, with Lamar Jackson. If he can be mobile in practice, give these defenders a way to play defense and really get used to it. But that was their biggest issue last year was the defense not being able to stop mobile quarterbacks. But I've got Louisville also 3rd in the Atlantic, and I think they finished 3rd in the whole ACC too. I think the top 3 teams you just talked about are the best 3 in the ACC, Florida State, Clemson, and Louisville. So yeah, that's where I've got them. I think they go 9-3. Dylan said it. I just don't have the upset. I think they lose to Florida State, Clemson, and Florida State, Clemson, and NC State.
Yeah, I just want to add this in. I think a player that will be one of the nation's best secondary players will be Jair Alexander. He'll be a junior. He's a cornerback on Louisville. I think he'll have a big season this year.
All right. Well, I'm not very high on Louisville this year.
Yeah.
8-4.
Yeah, I have 8-4.
Who's the 4th loss? That's what I'm curious about.
I have Kentucky.
Really?
Kentucky.
The rivalry game?
Yeah, I don't like them this year. Offensive line, not good. Ranked 115th in quarterback sack percentage. Lamar Jackson will have to find some help losing top 3 receivers. I just do not like them, especially losing 3 straight to end the year last year.
I really think that's just because he knew he had the Heisman locked up. So it's like, all right, we're out of the playoff race. I got the Heisman. Chill. But I mean, I guess it's the same thing. If they go 9-3, they know they're out of the playoff race. They probably won't be in the Heisman race.
A lot of teams do that. Once they know they're out of the playoff race,
they start slowing down. I don't know. I really don't think Kentucky's got anything. Like, they're so irrelevant.
But I mean, any rivalry game.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I can see that's
like Kentucky too.
I mean, yeah, like in the Big Ten, I have Michigan State, Penn Penn State for the same reason because of the rivalry games. So yeah, I mean, rivalry games can definitely have a play.
Spoiler.
Stay tuned for Thursday. But yeah, I don't know. I just really think that Kentucky is not a good enough team to win that rivalry game.
All right, well, let's move on to NC State. Went 7-6 last year, 3-5 in the conference, finished 5th in the Atlantic Division. Had 4 straight losses in the middle of the season to Clemson, Louisville, Boston College, and Florida State. Almost knocked off both Clemson and Florida State. Thriller in overtime against Clemson, but they returned 17 total starters, 9 on offense, 8 on defense. That's the 3rd most in the nation. And on offense, they lose their leading rusher in Matthew Days. On defense, they lose their leading tackler in Josh Jones, along with Dravius Wright. So, John, what do you think about the NC State Wolfpack this year?
I'm not very high on them. I got them going 6-6 and 4-4 in the conference. I don't agree with anything you said. I know they're loaded coming back, but I don't think they're going to do anything. I've got losses to South Carolina to start the year, Florida State, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, Clemson. I don't think they can get by any of those teams. But they're really going to miss Matt Days, and Bradley Chubb is one of the best defensive players in the country, so look for him to have a good season.
Yeah, I kind of like NC State this year. I think they could be a surprise team. Maybe this year's Louisville, possibly. They have an efficient offense. Their defensive line is pretty good. They won't have enough talent to win the division, and their QB Ryan Finley, he's not going to be a Heisman favorite, but they do have Louisville, Clemson, and North Carolina at home, and they're not playing Miami or Virginia Tech from the Coastal Division, which is actually a pretty big deal. So I have them going 8-4, but I think they could surprise people and upset Clemson, or Florida State.
Yeah, I also like NC State this year. I put them ahead of Louisville, 3rd in the division, and a 9-3 record for NC State. Graduate transfer Ryan Finley coming over from Boise State. 4 starters back on the offensive line, and Bradley Chubb, obviously, 21 tackles for loss last year and 10.5 sacks. He's going to dominate this year. I just like the Wolfpack this year ahead of Louisville. I think that NC State-Louisville game will determine 3rd place for the ACC Atlantic.
Yeah, I mean, everybody but John kind of said what I was going to say. I think they're going to be good this year. John even said this. They lost Matthew Days, who's now on the Browns, who had 1,166 yards, 2nd team All-ACC. It's really going to be contingent on if Ryan Finley can get it going because he's more comfortable. But it's just got to be – I mean, the offense is going to have to step up. The defense is going to be phenomenal, as we talked about. Bradley Chubb, Darian Roseboro, and Kentavious Street, that trio might be the best front four in college football this year outside of Ohio State. The big question mark is just going to be the secondary. They lost Josh Jones for the draft, but like Dan said, they have 8 stars returning. They're 8th in the nation in rushing defense, 24th overall. I like NC State. I have them 6th in the overall conference and finishing 4th in the Atlantic.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm really, really high on the NC State Wolfpack this year. I really like them. Ryan Finley, he will do a fine job as they put up 260 passing yards a game, which ranked 37th last year. I'm high on Jalen Samuels. He'll be big in the slot as he had 31 touchdowns in 39 career games. The O-line also looks good with a sack percentage of 3.55. That ranked 14th, and they returned 4 starters this year. Defensive line looks outstanding. Bradley Chubb, obviously big, top 10 in almost all rushing stat categories. So I've been finishing 2nd in the division, 9-3 with losses to Florida State, Wake Forest, and Notre Dame. Key wins include Louisville and Clemson, both at home. So in my eyes, NC State is the preseason Washington of last year. Washington, they were coming off of a 7-6 season, just like NC State, Washington had 16 returning starters. NC State has 17. I was not high on Washington last year at all, and I'm not going to make that mistake again this year with NC State. The difference between the two is that NC State is missing a star on the team like Washington had in Jake Browning.
And John Ross.
I mean, no one really
And Sidney
has.
Jones.
I mean, Bradley
got-
Chubb is going to be huge this year.
Please don't tell me you think they're going to make the playoff, though.
At 9-3, why did they make the playoff?
Well, I mean, you should be like Washington.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
well,
was thinking the same thing. I was like, there's no way in heck they make the playoffs.
but if they find a star, I think they could be special. So,
I mean, I like them. I don't think they're going to be the next Washington or anything, but I think they're going to be solid. Like I don't know if I said 8-4. I could see 7-5 or 9-3, just a few games here and there. But I just don't. I'm not buying the hype that Dan's giving them, I guess.
well, let's move on to Boston College. Last year went 7-6, 2-6 in the division, finished sixth in the Atlantic. They had losses to Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Syracuse, Louisville, and Florida State, and then beat Maryland in their bowl game in the Quick Lane Bowl. And then they returned 15 total starters, 8 on offense, 7 on defense. Key losses on offense include Patrick Tolles and Miles White. On defense, John Johnson and Matt Milano. So, John, what do you think about Boston College this year?
I'm not high on Boston College. 6-6 and 3-5 in conference. They have one of the worst offenses in the country, ranked 127th. But their defense is pretty good. They're really going to have to rely on Harold Landry. He's going to be a star player. Could be ACC Defensive Player of the Year if Derwin James wasn't in the conference. But yeah, they're trying to work a more fast tempo this season, and they, as Dan said, 4 starting offensive linemen are back.
Yeah, I hate Boston College this year. I think they're going to go 5-7, 2-6 in the ACC. They're going to finish last in the Atlantic Division. Their coach is on the hot seat. Stave Adazio. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but this is his 5th year, looking for a better showing than 7-6. They're 2-14 in ACC play last 2 years, and offense is 118th and 121st respectively in points scored the last 2 years. And as was said before, defensive end Harold Landry, going to be a senior next year, will be really key for them next year. Obviously, Boston College, they're kind of known for their defense, and they kind of stumble, or better teams kind of stumble against their defense at points. But yeah, I don't like Boston College this year.
I do like Boston College. I agree with John on that 6-6 record. They have a pretty easy schedule. Definitely 6 or 7 winnable games. Northern Illinois, Wake Forest, maybe Notre Dame, Central Michigan.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, they have a good defense. It could be close. I'm not saying they're going to beat Notre Dame, but I'm saying it's like closer than a
It's Notre Dame's
Clemson.
first away game, so I don't know.
It is the week after Georgia.
Yeah, Virginia Tech too, Virginia,
But no.
Connecticut, Syracuse. I think 6 or 7 winnable games for Boston College on the schedule. So I think they get it done and go to a bowl game. Definitely a run-first offense. Also potential to pull off an upset with that great defensive offense. You just can't get it going against them. But I like Boston College to go 6-6 this year.
Yeah, Zach said he wasn't high at 5-7. I'm a lot lower.
3-9, I bet.
I have them 3-9.
Oh, my.
I have them being Northern Illinois, Central Michigan, and UConn. They do not win a ACC
They have
game.
Virginia on their
There's-
schedule.
I'm telling you, they are worse than Virginia. Their defense
Their
has.
defense will stop them.
They have one guy, Harold Landry. Their cornerbacks are not good. Their offense is so reliant on John Hillman, and he's not even that
Their
good.
offense is
They
pretty
had the
bad.
second worst offense last year.
Okay,
That's
but Virginia
2-2.
doesn't have anything. Boston
They
College
have
at least
Quinn
has a
Blanding and
defense.
Micah Kaiser, 2 NFL first-rounders next year, guaranteed. That is 2 in a linebacker and safety position.
Okay,
that he,
Quinn
Okay, that's
Blanding
two
is a
players.
stud.
Quinn Blanding and
Andrew
Micah
Brown
Kaiser
is
are
good.
phenomenal.
But that's their defense, and
That's going to
that's
stop
2
Boston
people.
College's nation's. They the
Okay, but Virginia
second.
didn't rank high in any.
Boston
any
College has
category
a
of
history of good defenses.
Yes.
That's
Virginia has a
fine.
history
I'm
of
not.
sucking. It's
I'm
not
not
gonna
buying
change.
the
Why are we
history.
arguing about this?
I'm not
Boston
buying
College.
Boston College's hype. I'm just not. They will not win an ACC game. They will lose to Virginia. They will lose to everybody
That
else
is
in the
a
ACC.
stretch.
I'm telling you, they don't have enough pieces on the defensive end besides Harold Landry. Harold Landry is a stud, don't get me wrong. 7 forced fumbles is unbelievable. He's a borderline first round in the NFL next year.
Borderline, he is a first round.
He's borderline.
Hey,
Borderline. The defense, like you guys said, has shaped Boston College in the past, but this year lets them down. 3-9, doesn't win a game in the ACC, and they finished 12th in the conference. Duke and Virginia just belong.
All right. Well, I have them at 5-7, finished 6th in the division. Defense, obviously solid, like we said, ranked 14th in opponents' yards per game, 5th in takeaways per game, and 3rd in sack percentage. That's pretty solid. So
Good defense right there.
yeah, offense obviously not
All
as
last
good,
year.
but yeah, I have them at 5-7. So let's move on to Syracuse, where they went 4-8, finished 2-6 in the conference, and finished last in the Atlantic Division. Yeah, nothing great last year. But they returned 20 total starters, 9 on offense, 11 on defense. That is the most returning starters in the nation. So, John, what do you think about Syracuse this year?
I'm not high on Syracuse. 3-9. They're going to finish
Oh my
dead
God.
last
Oh
in
my
the
God.
Atlantic. 0-8.
Eric Dungy is
Yeah, I
going
was about
to
let me finish.
destroy Boston College.
That's a very false statement.
No,
Aaron
it's
Donald is
not.
a very good player.
He is going to throw all
He
over
doesn't have
them.
any other threats to throw.
It doesn't matter.
Their
They don't have a
defense
quarterback.
is pathetic.
That's fine. Their offense is
They're not going to stop
phenomenal.
anybody. If you got to catch up every single game, it's not going to help you.
It doesn't matter. Boston College has no offense.
And their schedule is pretty tough. Let's look at this.
They do
at
have a tough
LSU,
schedule.
at NC State, Clemson.
Miami,
Yeah,
Florida State
and
and
Louisville.
Clemson at home. I have them 6-6 though. Like there is
That
no
is a
5-7,
stretch.
6-6.
I am at 6-6.
Yeah,
3-5
5-7,
in the
6-6.
ACC. I love Eric Dungy. I think he's the third
Yeah.
best quarterback in the division.
Hmm.
Their offense is very exciting. Which makes them a team that can be upset worthy of a lot of teams. Offensive line is kind of iffy, and their running game isn't the best, but their passing attack is great. This is their second year under head coach Dino Babers, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. 6-6.
3-9. You're gonna tell me are they gonna win the first 3 games?
Yep, and then they're losing the rest.
They're not winning a game in the ACC.
They're not going to make it out of the LSU game.
Oh my god.
I'd like to see them
So
play LSU.
they're gonna go 3-0. So
They're
Yes,
gonna go
they're
3-0.
gonna
There's
not
9 straight.
9 straight.
No. They're
I-
not going to lose 9 straight. They're going to beat Boston College, and they will hang, and they will beat Wake Forest, and then they will hang with Pitt, maybe beat them.
But
And I
what
think-
was it?
at
They have
home
one
against
of the
Pitt.
toughest schedules in the country.
Yeah,
That's fine, but the first 3 games are an easy win. They're at least getting 4
And they had the
wins.
injury bug last year, which a lot of teams do, but they got it pretty bad.
I'm saying
So if they stay healthy, maybe. But right
They-
now, I'm basing that off injuries, tough schedule. They're going to go 3-9.
you cannot say 3-9. You've got to give them at least 4 wins. They're going to win a game in the ACC.
I mean, I have them at 3-9.
You
so.
can't.
Oh
3.
my god.
You can't go 3-0 and there's 9
You
straight.
definitely can.
They won't. They just
With
won't.
that
It's not
schedule,
impossible.
I say 4-8, maybe 5. Definitely the first 3 games. No chance they get upset there. But the rest, I'll give what they're. They have a great offense. I'll give them 1 or 2 more games in the ACC just based on the potential their offense can just hang with or a team, maybe win a shootout. But I don't have them winning 6. Definitely no bowl game for Syracuse.
All right, well, I'm with Zach, 6-6. I think 5-7 at the worst. Easy 3 games. There's no way they go under 4 wins. They're going to get at least 2 in the ACC. Virginia. All right, they've got Boston College is an easy win for Syracuse. I'm telling you, they're going to be poo-poo. Offensively, they've got so much talent. Their only issue is they need to be more efficient in the red zone. They were only 78% of the time they scored. Defensively, though, they cannot repeat last year. But they have 10 starters back and their top 13 tacklers back. I think with 1 more year of experience for all those guys, they are going to start shoring up the defense, but they really need to focus up on that run defense, especially because that was terrible last year. They're going to finish 6-6.
All right. Well, I have Syracuse at 4-8, 1-7 in the conference. Get a win against Wake Forest, and finish last in the division. John just saw something. They ranked what?
122nd worst defense in the country last year.
Boston College are the second worst offense in the country last year.
That's
That's
fantastic. They
awesome.
have a defense to
Yeah,
stop
they-
people from
No, they
scoring points.
don't. And Syracuse has an offense that will run all over people. Eric
That's
Dungy's going to
a-
throw over everyone.
If you can't stop somebody and you have to catch up every game,
If you can't
that's harder
score,
than stopping somebody
and not
than
being able to
trying
score? no, it's not.
All right.
Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, NC State are going to get their points on that defense easy. And if you can't score, there's already 4 losses, no doubt. Boston College not going to have a chance.
All right. Well, let's move on to Wake Forest. Finished 7-6 last year, 3-5 in the conference. Finished 4th in the Atlantic Division. Started off the year 4-0. Then had losses to NC State, Florida State, Army, Louisville, Clemson, and Boston College. Ended up beating Temple in the Military Bowl. And so they returned 15 total starters, 9 on offense, 6 on defense. Guys on offense, they lose really no offensive threats and just a couple guys on the line. Defense, they lose Markel Lee, who's their leading tackler, Thomas Brown, and Brad Watson. So, John, what do you think about the Demon Deacons this year?
I'm going 5-7 and 2-6 in the conference. They're going to finish ahead of Syracuse. They do lose Mike Elko, really good defensive coordinator to Notre Dame, but the defense should pick up where they left off because their scheme and everything is still intact.
I got the Deacons going 4-8. They have a strong linebacking core and also defensive end Duke Ejiofor leading the defense. They have a solid offense, just ball control and a fine defense, and also a fantastic kicking game that I saw. But I don't know how relevant that is. But I think that they'll finish lower than Syracuse Orange. They did lose Mike Elko, as you said, to Notre Dame, which I think will be a huge loss. But I got them going 4-8.
Yeah, I also have 4-8 for Wake Forest. Definitely 4 or 5 winnable games on the schedule. Presbyterian, Utah State, Appalachian State, and Duke, I think, are their 4 wins this year. But Wake Forest, not going to do anything special. I don't think they really have a shot at a bowl game this year.
See, I somewhat disagree. I'm higher on Wake Forest than others. 9 starters return. Kendall Hinton's back from knee injury. They have a 2 QB system possibility with John Wolford, who led them to the ball game last year. The key to next year is they cannot be the 3rd least efficient team in the country throwing the ball. They've got to figure that out. That was awful. Defensively, Duke Ejiofor is my favorite player is my favorite pro player in the Atlantic this year. I think he is just phenomenal and so much fun to watch. Obviously, one of the nation's best pass rushers. Jesse Bates is one of the ACC's best young safeties, finishing 2nd on the team with tackles and 5 picks as a freshman. And then defensively, their only hole is really going to be linebackers after losing Markel Lee to the Raiders and Thomas Brown. They're going to be solid again. Where they finish, I have them 6th. I think they're going to go 5 wins. I see very doable. 6 would be including an upset. So I went 6-6. I went with them getting an upset and just barely bowling.
Wow.
The big thing, the stat that stuck out to me, I know, John, you had one for the last team, was last year, first quarter scoring, 44 points. Second quarter scoring, 118 points. They cannot afford to get down
That's
early.
true, I saw it.
Yeah, they've got to get points up. They've got to get going early and get that offense in a roll. And like I said, watch out for Duke Ejiofor. He had 10.5 sacks, 3 against Duke, 17 tackles for a loss, 2 forced fumbles. That guy is a stud.
Yeah, offense, of course, returns 9 starters, as everybody said, but they ranked in the hundreds in basically every stat category. Defense will be solid, but I don't think they'll be as good as last year with Mike Elko gone. So I've been finishing 5th in the Atlantic Division, 5-7, 2-6 in the conference. Wins include Boston College and Duke. So let's move on to our surprise team of the year. John, you want to go first?
I took this, like many people think a surprise team is someone who does well, but my surprise team is Clemson. A lot of people think, they can reload, they can get there, make it to college football playoff. They have a really good history, but I think they're going to have a little bit of down year. 10-2 is a down year for them after the past 2 years, so I'm saying that's a surprise.
So you're saying surprise in a bad way.
Yeah, that's a surprise.
Okay.
I'd expect them to be up there in the college football playoff
I can see that.
contention, but I don't think they will be.
All right. I think I got NC State. I think they could be like Louisville this year. As we kind of mentioned, Ryan Finley coming from Boise State. Good offense, good defensive line. I think they have upside to be a 9-win team this year. I think they'll be a surprise. What do you got, Dylan?
I also have NC State as that one.
I think we all do. Yeah, Dan was high on them. I'm high.
Surprise team of the year, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Bradley Chubb on defense. I think everyone has NC State, so there's no reason to all say the same thing 3 different times. We all got NC State, and then John's got Clemson for a good reason. All right, disappointing team?
My disappointing team is NC State. I don't think they're going to be that good, in my opinion. And I base this off of, what were they last year? They were
7-6.
7-6. Yeah, a lot of people think they're going to improve, maybe get to 9 wins. I don't. I think they'll go 6-6.
I have North Carolina. They have tough road games against Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Pitt, and NC State, and the ACC, which could be several losses. And also, they got to win at home against Louisville, Notre Dame, and Miami. So
Mine's definitely going to be Louisville. I have them at 8-4 and below NC State in the ACC Atlantic rankings this year. I'm not high on Louisville. I think they'll have a similar season to last year where they kind of just fizzle out a little bit.
I think you guys can guess who my disappointing team is. Mine's Boston College. I don't buy the improvement we saw in the bowl game. I'm not sure Hillman can carry the load, and so I went Boston College as my disappointing team.
All right. Well, I have Louisville as mine. Finished the season with 3 straight losses and lost their top 8 receivers. I don't think they'll be as good this year.
yeah, and by North Carolina, I actually meant Wake Forest. I think they'll be trash this year.
I get those two mixed up all the time.
I do.
All right. Well, let's move on to the player who deserves a bigger spotlight. John, who do you think?
I got Harold Landry. He's a stud player from Boston College, Jason's favorite team, and I think he'll be a first-round pick.
Yeah, I also have Harold Landry. Could have been a high pick last year, but decided to stay. 16.5 sacks, ranked 3rd currently on NFL Pro Prospects on the CBS website. So I think he'll be great this year for Boston College.
I'm not going Boston College. I can't do it. I had to go Duke Ejiofor from Wake Forest. I talked about him just a few minutes ago. I love him. I think he is going to be a stud this year, be a first-round pick next year for sure. Love what Ejiofor is doing down at Wake Forest.
I mentioned it earlier with Louisville, but I have cornerback Jair Alexander, going to be a junior. I think he deserves to have more recognition, the national spotlight. I think he'll get it this year.
I like Jalen Samuels from NC State. Was their second leading receiver with 55 receptions and 7 touchdowns. I think he could be that potential star. They need to get over the top.
That's a little far. I'm not sure I can buy the potential stardom from him. I like him for sure. I think he's a solid player, but I wouldn't put him like John Ross or like that type of star. Like, do you? Like, I'm just saying with the
I
Washington.
said he could be a potential star.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I'm not sure he's the guy that's going to be the John Ross of the team, like you said. Like, if we were going the Washington comparison earlier.
All right, John, who do you think is the coach on the hot seat this year?
Syracuse's Dino Babers will be on the hot seat. You can't keep losing games, and your defense cannot be one of the worst. He's going to be fired.
Is this his second year?
This is his second year.
You think he'll be fired for 2 years?
If that even gets a full recruiting class
if
through.
you're,
I don't.
this is the thing. If your defense is that bad 2 straight years,
When you
What if your offense is that bad for 2 straight years? That's why I got Steve Adazio at Boston College. For the same reason you got defense, I got offense.
That's the thing. They keep winning games.
It doesn't matter. You said the reason he's going off because of defense. I'm going after his offense.
I don't think that Dino will be fired this year because I think recruits, if they see that a coach got fired after 2 years, I think they'll be less willing to go to a program that did that, like that is so willing to fire the coaches. But I also have Stade Adazio, Boston College. They got to do better than 7-6.
I agree with you. That's the thing. But the reality in college football now, that people get fired real quick.
I agree.
It's unfortunate.
I don't think it'll happen. But I mean, if that will happen, I'm going defense to be Boston College for sure. Then.
Yeah, I also have Adazio. I mean, even though I think Boston College will be good this year, I still think he's kind of on the hot seat, at least for now. Started off 4-6 last year and has to improve, at least at the beginning of this year. Get to another bowl game, or he could be gone from Boston College.
I went with something different. I went with Dave Doran from NC State. If he doesn't live up to expectations, then I think he could be in trouble going like 6-6, like John said.
Yep.
So, who do you think is the best pro prospect this year, John?
By far in the ACC Atlantic Division, it's Derwin James. People say he's even better than Jalen Ramsey. I can see it. He can even create a pass rush, which Jalen Ramsey couldn't do at best. So Derwin James is my guy.
I was deciding between Derwin James and Harold Landry, and I'm going to go also with Derwin James. He kind of already explained it, but he's going to be a sophomore next year. I think he'll have a huge season, and I think he'll be a
He's
great
draft
player.
eligible next year.
What?
He's draft eligible next year.
Oh, yeah, he'll leave.
Mine, I can't decide between Landry and James. I love Landry. He'll be great again next year. Could have been a high pick this year, and he'll be the star on that Boston College defense. But Derwin James also just amazing. I like them both.
All right, so I've been called a hater on multiple videos, whether it's the Colts or whatever. So for the Boston College fans that have stuck around, best pro prospect, I'll go with Harold Landry from Boston College. I'll give him a little bit of hype at the end. I love him. He's a great player. 7 forced fumbles, 16.5 sacks. He's going to be a stud in the NFL. So for all the Boston College fans, don't be commenting that I'm a hater. I'm coming back for him. Don't worry. Boston College, they have at least 1 star.
I'll talk about somebody different here. Christian Wilkins from Clemson, defensive tackle. I think he could be a potential first-round pick. He'll be big this year for Clemson.
He will be a first-round pick.
All right,
Okay, so Dylan said at the beginning we're going to wrap it up the same way. Tomorrow we got the Coastal Division.
North Carolina in there.
Yeah, not Wait, is that Wake Forest or North Carolina?
I think North Carolina.
Okay, cool. And then Wednesday we've got the Notre Dame football preview, which I promise is heated. And then Thursday, Big Ten. Friday, Big Ten. Saturday is fantasy football as we get started into that too. So we're really going to alternate with fantasy football, college football, and then maybe throw a little NBA in there. Depending on how it goes, we'll probably do a summer league one. But really, it's going to be a fun next week and a half as we get going into some college football.
Yeah, definitely excited. We apologize for the pretty long break we took, but between basketball and football. But now we are back and ready to start talking about all things football.
We got to rest.
We'll have one more NBA episode with the Summer League. We'll probably put that out Wednesday with the Big Ten. We'll put out a Summer League episode as the championship is tonight. It's the Lakers. Lakers versus Trailblazers. So we'll put that out Wednesday with Notre Dame. So 2 big episodes on Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening, and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see the rest of our college football, fantasy football previews for this season. Hit the like if you enjoyed, and follow us on Twitter if you want to see every time we post a new video or a new article. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you tomorrow with the Coastal Division.